10,000 human brains in a single problem-solving operation. Millions of Koreans looking for new ways to live their lives. What is going to allow one nation to survive and thrive and another fall apart. 감사합니다. Yeah. So psychologists study how well we're able to predict our futures. And they ask us, who will you be in 10 years? And what will you be doing? And what do you want to be doing? And then they analyze what it is that we say. And what these researchers have concluded is that the only way that we can conceive our futures is to see our lives through the lens of the present. Most of what we're doing now is what we think we're going to be doing in 10 years. Even when someone wants to completely change his or her life, they cannot imagine a life that is extremely different from the life that they are living today. So we say, I'd like to get a promotion at my job. Or I would like to be driving a new car or living in that house that I've always wanted. But this is just ourselves and our current life in the future. And it means that we also see the future of our communities and our countries according to how we live today and what we see today. But what if how we live our daily lives in the future is really different than how we live today? And what if we just cannot envision it? So let me help you to envision artificial intelligence and how it might impact our lives, since I know that none of us can easily see the future. So human beings are investing trillions of US dollars and Korean won into artificial intelligence. And these investments are not going to slow down. In other words, AI is going to be woven into every aspect of our lives. AI is replicating human brains. So we are programming computers so that they can do the work of our brains. So think perhaps 10 or 100 or 1,000 or 10,000 human brains in a single problem-solving operation. To hold that in your mind. Think of how amazing your brain is at making complex calculations. Like all the things that you needed to think about in order to arrive here at this location tonight. And think of the things you could think about if your brain was 100 times faster than it is. And then AI goes beyond our brains. Because with AI, we're using knowledge to make machines more complex and more efficient. And this includes robots. So we can also replicate and improve just about everything that you and I can do with our bodies. And perhaps you're an accountant. In fact, we can replace 50 or 100 accountants in your company with just a single AI platform. We can then do this in every industry. We can have robots working for us in every industry. And what this means is that very soon, when AI really takes off, we will need many fewer workers in the world doing what they do today in just about every area of society. And nobody knows when we will cross over some moment that takes us from the before AI society into the AI world. Just know that we will walk ourselves into some new world, and AI will be everywhere. So now think about AI and all the Korean citizens and jobs that will need to be reorganized to adapt to the machines. I just said reorganized. thousands and then millions of Koreans are not going to be living on the street and collecting social welfare from the government for the rest of their lives. In the beginning of the AI transformation, people can just go find a different job. But the speed of change will soon slowly grow, and it will become too fast, and the computers and machines will start doing the work of larger and larger numbers of Koreans. It's going to be extremely destabilizing to social ties between people. Again, imagine millions of Koreans looking for new ways to live their lives and support themselves as AI is adapted and adopted more and more. It's going to be so disruptive to societies everywhere in the world, but especially Korea, because you are so willing to adopt new technologies. So first, here in the Seoul metropolitan area, you rank second using AI. Not fifth, not 15th. And according to the Global Innovation Index, Korea is the fourth most innovative country in the world. There are only 3 countries considered to be more innovative than Korea in 2025. So Korea is definitely implementing AI and at a very fast pace. And you have the resources to lead the world in AI development. According to the Great Powers Index, in 2024, Korea ranked 6th as the world's superpower. When we consider trade and GDP and military strength, Korea is one of the top 6 superpowers. So what does this mean for Koreans? I have this idea that compared to other countries, you will be able to implement AI in ways that are not overly disruptive to Korean social and cultural life. AI adoption is going to require an infinite number of agreements about what large numbers of people should do all day long when they're not working in the way that they used to work. Remember, computers and tech platforms will be able to do the work of thousands and then millions of Koreans. And every 10 to 15 years, there are probably going to be significant advancements in these technologies. So I think that what is going to allow one nation to survive and thrive and another to fall apart is the degree to which people of a country can make these decisions together. And the decisions are complicated, and the best path forward will be difficult to see, but there will have to be widespread agreements. An example of this is the decision about how many medical students should enter medical schools each year. The Korean population is changing, and you have to make decisions about medical doctors and training and labor shortages and labor surplus. And there are so many factors to consider. And think of how difficult it was to resolve this issue about the medical students. So you know what Koreans are looking forward to, because there are always going to be so many of these types of decisions to be made. Each decision caused by AI is going to challenge your sense of community and connection. And each decision is probably going to strengthen the forces of individualism and try to push humans apart. But Koreans have an extremely strong sense of what I call Koreanness. And this is going to help you combat these decisive and divisive forces. And here's an example of what I often think about. A global industrial economy is built around global relations and massive global markets. Bigger is nearly always more profitable. And this means that the largest businesses will always eat up the smaller businesses in the search for more profit. Everyone knows this, but humans seem to be powerless to stop the process. But Korea is different. In Korea, large retail chains are legally required to close at least one day each month to help protect small local businesses and traditional market vendors. This is what's known as the Distribution Industry Development Act. This would never happen in the United States or most any nation that I know well. We'd have riots in the streets if we tried to do this in the United States. This law it's not a major reorganization of economic life in Korea, but it is significant to tell large companies you will close your doors to give other businesses opportunities to survive. And what you are saying with this law is that all of us Koreans need one another. You were not just thinking that then you would not have passed the law. You were doing it, not just thinking it. So being able to do this is going to be essential to adopting AI without seriously weakening social ties with people who are fellow citizens, but also strangers to us. So much of Korean life is organized as though Koreans who are strangers to you are still important as you are. Not at every moment, and not every person all the time, but far more than most other societies and cultures. The stronger you feel these social ties, the more easily you can resolve the infinite number of social conflicts that AI is going to bring to us. Remember, we have to solve the problem of what to do with so many thousands and then millions of people who no longer work in the way that they used to. This is what AI is going to bring to us. So I know that many Koreans question what I'm saying about collectivism and Korean society. So let me give you some specific examples of Korean collectivism. These are homeless Americans, just 3 blocks away from the White House in Washington, D.C. Every park in the city, and that city has homeless people living in it. If Seoul had the same rate of homelessness as Los Angeles, there would be 110,000 homeless Seoul citizens and not the 2,600 who actually live in your streets. Can you imagine homeless people sleeping all around the statue of King Sejong? You couldn't take photos because you would be stepping over people. These are drug addicts in the streets of a city where I live. Can you imagine this somewhere in Korea? And this is a map of Bogota, Colombia. I have an apartment in this city, right where the blue arrow is. The green areas are the part of the city that are safe. Here's a map of Seoul. Do you see any red, orange, or yellow areas? You see none, because there are no dangerous areas in Seoul. And let me look at gun homicides. Korea averages 10 gun homicides per year. And the population of the United States is about 6.5 times the size of Korea. So if Korea had 340 million people, then you would have about 65 gun homicides each year. That seems like a lot, right? In the US, we have 65 every 24 hours, every day. You probably can't even imagine this. And that's because your strong communitarian and communalist ties to one another. When I think about the examples I just gave to you, my sociological mind tells me that Koreans know how to make decisions to ensure that your commitment to one another is strong. What these examples of housing and crime and violence tell me is that Koreans matter to other Koreans. Now think about how we're investing billions and trillions of Korean won into AI. The lives of so many Koreans who are strangers to you are going to be disrupted just as your life is going to be impacted. It's going to happen slowly at times, and then very chaotically at other times. But you'll be making an infinite number of new collective agreements with strangers about how to organize your economy and your social life. And without believing that everyone matters, just like small stores matter as much as large ones, you would not be able to do this. So that belief is embodied in the choco pie. The value most cherished by Koreans, it's called chung. So, I think you're as prepared as any nation in the world to make some difficult decisions together. 감사합니다. Thank you.